Welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us. Is America a Credal nation? Is America just an idea? Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch is, I guess, turning heads by claiming that America is a Credal nation. It's been being mocked on X, really from a lot of different places. Quite honestly, we've got so many different takes on this, but the one take on this that I think is very interesting is, does this color Neil Gorsuch's opinion about birthright citizenship? Many are thinking that we've now got to peek at the cards the Supreme Court is holding. Does what Neil Gorsuch said about our country, and Marco Rubio said this earlier this week, I think as well, America is basically an idea, and I'm paraphrasing, an idea where anybody can come here and be anything, and this is the same mentality that has essentially governed this country in both parties for my entire life and beyond, and look at the results that it's yielded. Look at our country and look at how we've imported a lot of people in this country that, quite frankly, even if we are a creedal nation, reject the creed, whatever that is, that really can't be defined. So is America a creedal nation? Or does it fit the traditional definition of a nation, which is people that speak a common language and have a common ancestry? We're going to talk about that on the program today. Also, fireworks in the Tennessee state legislature, as the state of Tennessee has officially, Governor Bill Lee has officially signed the new congressional map. We are in the midst of apportionment wars, if you will. It's otherwise been dubbed the Southern Scramble, trying to save the midterms for Republicans. We're going to talk about this. Obviously, the Democrats in Tennessee are not happy about this. They're so upset that they're standing on tables. And I think it was Todd Starnes or somebody that said, "Hey, this isn't the Pink Pony Club, okay? This is the Tennessee House of Representatives." We're going to talk about all that and much, much more. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell program.
All right, folks, welcome to the show. As always, we can't do the show without you watching every single day, so we really do appreciate it. We're broadcasting live from the great state of Arkansas here on LFA TV on Rumble, over on my personal Facebook page, Paul Harrell, as well as the Paul Harrell Program YouTube page and X. So we would ask you to do all the things. We want you to make sure, if you're watching on LFA TV on Rumble, to like and subscribe and do all the things you're supposed to do on Rumble. But on the other platforms, wherever you're watching, do that as well. For our cable television audience, we would encourage you to find the program online and interact with the audience, specifically the great LFA TV audience in the chat there. I'm joined in seat number 3. We've got Eric Haynes is with us. Eric, how you doing, sir?
So good to be part of the conversation, my friend.
I'm really glad that you're with us. We're missing Rob this week. Rob
Very much.
Decided to go on vacation this week, and I hope he's having a great time basking in the Florida sun. So, but anyway, we got a really interesting debate. It's not a new debate, but it certainly is new. In terms of over the last couple of years, it's in terms of Republican contexts, it is one that is now really, it's part of this Republican coalition that is extremely fragile. But within the Republican Party coalition, you have people that say, wait a second now. This idea that we've heard from both parties that America is an idea, that somehow our soil is magic. This is me putting words into that, what that phrase really means. That once people get here, something happens, it's magical, and they magically become Americans, and they adopt our heritage, and they adopt our way of life and all of that, when that's obviously not true, because our country is unrecognizable than what it was 50 years ago, and it's mainly because of immigration and people who have refused to assimilate, whatever that even means anymore. I'm not even really sure. Because you could say, well, it'll be okay to have this as long as they assimilate. Well, what does that even look like? Define what that means. And the fact of the matter is, they're not assimilating, and our country is the worse off for it. I don't even think there's any way to argue that at this point. So this all comes from Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. We're all awaiting the birthright citizenship ruling. You got to wonder, that you got to think that this would be, I mean, if really the future of the country hangs in the balance when you're talking about this particular Supreme Court decision. If people can just come here and have a baby and now that baby is a citizen, which has been the interpretation, the bastardized version of the 14th Amendment for so long, and again, we see the results. The plain reading of the 14th Amendment clearly doesn't say that should be the policy if you look at the plain reading of it. And so it's a really big deal. If the Supreme Court were to come out and say, hey, birthright citizenship is not a thing anymore, it would be huge. It would be monumental. It would also undermine a lot of other court precedents that have come from the 14th Amendment based on this, I think, interpretation that is in error and has, again, led to the destruction of our country as we know it. So, but let's get into it. Let's actually hear the clip. Here he is. This is Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. You don't hear a lot from these guys very often, but when they do give interviews, you want to know about it. Here's what he said about this country.
The Declaration of Independence had three great ideas in it. That all of us are equal, that each of us has inalienable rights given to us by God, not government, and that we have the right to rule ourselves. Our nation is not founded on a religion. It's not...
Now, hang on one second. Like, I hate to interrupt immediately, but didn't he just say that our rights come from God?
Yeah, from who?
God.
So already, this is an incoherent, at a bare minimum, you have a lot of questions. But already it's the beginning of a very incoherent statement. We weren't founded on a religion, but we were founded on the idea that there is a God and he exists. And by the way, it wasn't just some ambiguous God. We all know the God they were talking about. They were talking about the Christian God of the Bible.
Do you want to give him credit in that you think, or in that we might say that he's thinking about a certain religion? And that...
You mean like a certain denomination?
Yeah.
I mean,
we've had the conversation before about Protestants, Catholics,
yes,
Jewish. I mean, there's all religions.
He might have
represented in the United States of America.
Possibly, there's no
foundationally. Is he saying God, but not necessarily like a religion?
Yeah, I mean potentially, but I mean it's no.
I'm trying to make coherent out of the incoherent.
I get you. I get you. So that you could say that maybe. Well, we're going to listen to the rest of the clip, but maybe he was saying, yeah, it was a pan-Protestant. Yeah. With some Catholics thrown in, and that is true.
I've never thought of Gorsuch as
that is
incoherent,
true.
So I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I know.
However, to your point, that's something that definitely makes you scratch your head.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have these people that they know that it's a pan-Protestant hodgepodge of colonies. They know that, and so they're like, well, we're going to agree on the big things where there is a God. And, he's the bestower of rights, not us. But the idea that they were talking about, Allah or Buddha or the Hindu gods is patently ridiculous.
Right.
Surely he's not saying that, but it seems to me that's exactly what he's saying. But let's listen to it again.
Has inalienable rights given to us by God, not government, and that we have the right to rule ourselves. Our nation is not founded on a religion. It's not based on a common culture even.
A common culture?
Or heritage.
Really?
It's based on those ideas. We're a Credal nation. What was Europe like at the time? It was monarchies. The notion that all people are created equal. No, there are kings and serfs. The notion that you have rights from God, from your creator. No, everything came from government. And self-rule certainly was a very dangerous proposition in the world of the Declaration. Right? You're right. We take it as the air we breathe. Like fish in the water don't even realize. But those things were dangerous and inevitable, and they were traitors for declaring them. The Declaration of Independence.
It's very strange. And honestly, I don't even understand how you get there. I know a lot of us have been force-fed this in American public schools for our whole lifetime. But the idea, because you throw off the yoke of a king, that also means that you don't have a common culture is ridiculous. As we'll see here in a minute, President Trump actually said the complete opposite just the other week when he hosted King Charles and talked about the Anglo-Saxon English are the reason we have a country. Yeah. Okay. So it's just very interesting. So here's a few takes.
Yeah, we didn't like all those things that he mentioned, the serfs and the
No, of course not.
monarchs. We didn't like all those things. So we're not. The United States of America is not based on those things because we fleed those things and rejected those things. I mean, we freaked out over a tea tax.
Exactly. Timothy Nerosi.
I would expect this from Ketanji Brown Jackson a little bit more than
it wouldn't have been as articulate.
This is a hot take from a
again,
conservatively appointed.
Does this mean that he's showing his cards of where he comes down to what it would mean? I mean, in that framework that he just listed, I'm not sure how he comes down saying birthright citizenship is unconstitutional. Maybe he still does, but I have my doubts because of the implications. This court is so, and men are just like this now, especially today, where it's like, well, you know, the implications of what it would mean are more important than just looking at what the law says and making an objective ruling. But we'll find out. Timothy Nerosi says, if we're a creedal nation, show me the required creed and explain to me the consequences for someone who refuses to follow it. Now,
Right.
The creed he's mentioning here, I'm just going to summarize, I think is that rights come from God and we're endowed with, we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So if you do have a creed and you've imported people that reject life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, or their pursuit of happiness is H-1B visa scams, where or their pursuit of or their pursuit of happiness is to use our system to make sure that anti-white racism is now the law of the land.
The Somalis in Minnesota are happy.
Yes, they're very happy. Generational wealth.
They're driving around in Lambos and
Exactly.
sending millions back to Mogadishu.
So what is that creed? If we are a creedal nation, what exactly is it? And then when people don't follow it, can we deport those people? Oh, no, you can't. So really, because that would be unacceptable to a lot of these people that believe this. So really, even if it's really we're debating nonsense, because even if America is a creedal nation, the practical implications of it are you do nothing. You don't enforce the creed. So what does it even matter?
Yeah.
You basically have a nation that's based on nothing. You can say it's a creedal nation, but if you're not going to enforce it, congratulations.
What are we, a Seinfeld episode?
You've got a nation based on nothing. Yeah, I like
You get
it. Yes, that's good. Yeah,
We're just Seinfeld, brother.
nothing.
Yeah.
I believe I can sum up the show. I believe I can sum up the nation with one word. Nothing. 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 Well, why do people watch
What do we
it?
have? It's a show about nothing.
Why do people watch it? Because it's on TV. Not yet.
No.
I love it. This is in stark contrast to the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, who actually, back in the day, said that no, actually America is Anglo-Saxon, and it's the Anglo-Saxon culture that the American culture springs forth from. And he did this, on a panel full of people that would probably more agree with Neil Gorsuch. By the way, I think this whole thing is just a way to get us to accept that our country is just going to be slowly managed into decline. By the way, this whole thing is, oh no, you can't make these pronouncements. It's just a way to keep the American people sitting on their hands. Because if you accept this, then you just have to accept that this country is open to the third world. But listen to what Antonin Scalia said.
It's part of our tradition that everybody can be an American, but there has been a common culture.
Yeah,
you don't have to belong to it, but there has been that. And
What is it? What is it? What is it?
Well, okay, you want to know what it is? Number
Yeah.
one?
By the way, that is on this panel. That is a Podesta, isn't that not? Is that
is
John
John
or
Podesta.
Tony? Yeah, that's a Podesta. To just let you guys know, a guy that the late Andrew Breitbart, said is a prolific pedophile.
Culture.
Yeah,
you
what-
don't have to belong to it, but there has been that. And
What is it? What is it? What is it?
Well, okay, you want to know what it is? Number one. Okay.
Is there a bond? Is there a common culture?
I think. Let me tell you a story.
2006. This is
My junior year of college, I studied in Switzerland, and I used to get really annoyed when the French-Swiss professors I had would refer constantly to les pays anglo-saxons, the Anglo-Saxon countries. meaning England, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, okay, Canada. I said, hey, my name is Scalia, and I'm as American as anybody. Look at this face. Is this an Anglo-Saxon face? I had never been in England, but at the end of my year, I went to England, and I felt at home. There is no doubt that American culture, American common culture, which nobody has to belong to, originates with English culture. And that includes Shakespeare, it includes nursery rhymes that we all know and that we use as examples. That's our common culture. And I think the framers recognized that. Diversity's fine, but diversity does not make a nation.
Exactly. Diversity doesn't make a nation. And notice what he also said there. It's obviously an Anglo-Saxon culture. That is synonymous with American culture, but you don't have to adhere to it. And that is true. Once you get here, you don't have to adhere to it. Well, what happens when you don't? And what happens when there's throngs upon throngs of people that don't adhere to it? Where, you have these leftists that were saying that, hey, showing up to an appointment on time is part of white culture.
Yeah.
Glenn Beck got in the biggest trouble back in the day when Glenn Beck was on Fox News and he was criticizing Obama, and he sat down with, I think it was Katie Couric, but it was one of the mainstream media journalists. And he said, they were like, what is your big problem with Barack Obama? And Glenn Beck said, I think he has a problem with white culture. And it was a 5-alarm fire. Oh my gosh, white culture. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I remember it. I couldn't, back in the day, you're like, oh, he stepped in it now. Because we were so conditioned to even say that there is a white culture, let alone that Barack Obama was against it, was considered a blasphemy in this country.
Right.
It's pretty incredible where we're at now. Let me see. Was there another video? Is it this one here?
It's part of our tradition that everybody can be an American.
Is it
It's
John
part of
Podesta?
our tradition that everybody can be an American. But there has been a common...
Okay, so it's the same clip, just posted twice. So, a Credal nation. Josh Dawes writes, a Credal nation is a trap. The right will wax eloquent about the creed of our founders, but won't enforce it. The left redefines the creed at will. They do, based on whatever the hot button issue they want to use to keep their power or expand their power. The left redefines the creed at will and won't hesitate to enforce it. Now that's an interesting thing. They will. That's true, as we've seen where. If you operate in this Credal nation paradigm, that is true. The right won't enforce whatever their definition of, but the left will enforce their definition of what the creed is.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't think that men can go into women's locker rooms because they can change their gender?
Yeah.
Well,
Watch them.
That's against the American creed.
Yeah.
That's against the American creed. Here is President Trump last week, and just listen to what he said here, because to me, seems like, and we talked about this when we played it the other day or last week. Whoever wrote this speech, I mean, this was a big deal. This was one of the best, I think, speeches that President Trump has given this year.
Agree. This was so good.
Listen.
Long before Americans had a nation or a constitution, we first had a culture, a character, and a creed. Before we ever proclaimed our independence, Americans carried within us the rarest of gifts, moral...
Now notice he did use the word creed.
...courage, and it came from a small but mighty kingdom from across the sea. For nearly 2 centuries before the Revolution, this land was settled and forged by men, women, who bore in their souls the blood and noble spirit of the British. Here on a wild and untamed continent, they set loose the ancient English love of liberty and the Great Britain's distinctive sense of glory, destiny, and pride. And that's what it is, glory, destiny, and pride. The American patriots who pledged their lives to independence in 1776 were the heirs to this majestic inheritance. Their veins ran with Anglo-Saxon courage. Their hearts beat with an English faith in standing firm for what is right, good, and true.
You know what the majority of the creed was? I mean, if we want to say there was a creed, you want to know what the majority of the creed, you know what the creed was? I believe in God the Father Almighty. It was the Apostles' Creed or the Nicene Creed. That's really, you want to know what united the country. That's what it was. That's when it says, when in the courts of human events, Declaration of Independence, when in the courts of human events, it talks about a people must declare reasons for their separation. In the Constitution, it says, we the people of the United States. And what does it say in the preamble? It says, for our posterity, for ourselves and our posterity. What is our posterity? It's our kids. It's our grandkids. It's our common ancestry. That's what a nation is. And it is only in this modern day American context that saying that is somehow, again, thought to be racist. And one of the reasons we're able to have the conversation that we are able to freely have now and have this debate now, when Glenn Beck mentioned it back in 2009 and he wasn't allowed to, is because the word racism and the accusations of racism have lost their power, and that has actually freed a lot of people up to talk about this. And it's actually really good. Because what we're all really debating out here amongst this Republican coalition, many people may not frame it this way, but what we're all really debating is how to crawl our way back up the slippery slope that has got us, light years away from where we started. But in the slippery slope is pretty, it's not very slick, actually. It's actually just a slope. The slippery slope, obviously, is, it's going to get faster, and it does get faster. But if you really look, I mean, it's taken us a long time as we've survived off the derivative fumes of the great men that came before us, the prosperity that resulted from our grandfathers. We're all debating, how do we get back up there? This is really the debate.
Yeah.
Now, some people, maybe on the right, very little on the right, might dispute that there is a slope. And one thing does lead to another, but they're wrong. Most of us agree. One thing leads to another, and we are where we are, and we want to get back to where we were. The left sees that, that means you want slavery. No, that doesn't mean we want slavery. It just means we want our country to have, we want our country to be a good country and not a wicked country. That's what it means. Anyway, I've talked for a long time. You got anything to add? Because we got a lot of takes, but
I think of the situation, and I know a lot of people in the audience have probably been in boardrooms before, and they've done what is commonly referred to as SWOT analysis. You familiar with that term?
No, what is SWOT analysis?
You're looking for strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. So SWOT, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. I would love to sit here and do a SWOT analysis of this 250-year-old experiment that we're in the middle of right now. And I think you could glean from it a lot of strengths and a lot of areas where we have defined ourselves in where we came from in 1776 to where we are now, and we have a lot to be proud of. I'm trying to say the word proud respectfully and humbly too, but we do have a lot to be proud of. We could be proud of the fact that we are where we are, that innovation and technology, we're the greatest country in the planet. Whether you agree with that or not, Ilhan Omar would probably disagree with me on that. But we've come so far. But we've got a lot of weaknesses and particularly a lot of threats that are affecting this great 250-year run that we're on. And, you and I have only been a part of, a fraction, that back fraction, and we're sitting here today wondering, like, where are we gonna go from here? Like, we're really, and we again back to a term that we talk about all the time, was just tipping points. We feel like we're at a fork in the road. Like, the last 40 to 50 years of our immigration policy and other things that we've done to ourselves financially and to our great experiment is potentially put us in a very, very tough situation that we may not be able to claw back from. You may not be able to just use mass deportation to get there. We're seeing already that it's not working, and that we've allowed trillions of dollars to be blown in our financial health, and that we're now having to constantly unearth all of this stuff that has been allowed to go on for so long. So I just to kind of summarize that up, I would really like to really, from our perspective, obviously somebody next to me is going to have a different perspective on the analysis and the SWOT analysis of this country. But when you look at statements like this and the analysis of that by itself, and what has taken place over the last few years, what gas prices are right now, what all the other things that what is being uncovered in cities around the country, and massive amounts of fraud, and there are days where you and I just throw up our hands and we're like, how are we even holding on? But yet we woke up this morning and the market went above 50,000, and stocks are super high. People's 401ks are doing great. So it's like, to me, we're playing this like ping pong match and going back and forth, or we're seeing like the scales go up and down, trying to understand what it's going to be like for our kids. Because most importantly, you and I are like, well, we're fine with what's going on right now, but we're worried about
our posterity.
Getting back to what we were talking about just a while ago, like that's the same thing that the founding fathers were trying to do back then. They were trying to make a better place for their kids and their grandkids and their great-grandkids and their great-great-grandkids. That's the whole point. And we're constantly going back to the fact, like, can we put this genie back in the bottle, and will immigration fix everything? Well, because there's a lot of little things that goes on that we don't know if that's going to be a silver bullet. But I don't know where you sit on the whole analysis thing, but I know it's a constant internal battle that we talk about all the time, which is, where do we get to a point to where we think that we may have this thing might right the ship a little bit?
Yeah.
I
don't know. I mean, that birthright citizenship would be a huge win to change, to save the country in the future. But I don't know. I don't think these justices are actually going to do it. That's where I'm at right now. But who knows? We'll see. And then there's other things like, I was watching, people have been talking about abortion a lot recently, and I was seeing a post about how when Roe v. Wade was overturned, you immediately had the corporations out there saying, hey, we'll fly you to get an abortion if you need an abortion. And, you have this rise in the pills, and how much our modern economic system, or at least the corporations, it depends on women in the workforce. And if there is no abortion, then there will be less women in the workforce. And then somebody was just posted on Twitter, I saw it, I should have pulled it, was saying that women are more likely to put up with abuse in the workforce. They're less likely to demand a raise, and all of these things and all these insidious. But I'm just saying, like, we're talking about fixes. Like, if you got rid of abortion tomorrow, all of a sudden you have more family formations that would happen. You have obviously less sacrificing of kids, but you have in a lot of ways, modern American society, the way it is right now, the way it's structured, depends on abortion access. That's really sick when you think about it.
Yeah.
But to your point about hope,
and we have think about this. We have about half the country that's willing to say that that's not even really abortion, that's reproductive health care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's
like transing kids is health care.
Yeah. The devil is the master of lies for a reason, and it has infected our country with an ability, and large swaths of the country, to think that abortion's fine, open borders are fine, rearranging your identity based on whims and however you feel today, and cutting off body parts to change that is fine. And so on and so on and so on, that you get to the point where you're like, oh, I mean, maybe Gorsuch is kind of in a weird way right in the way that he's summing this up now, because what are you going to hold people to?
Yeah, the rejection of that would then be saying, oh, actually, no, our rights come from God.
These people aren't assimilating that are coming here in mass migration events. No, they're just clicking up in big swaths in big areas and turning those places into little versions of where they came from.
Yeah, they're making,
and then they're finding ways of defrauding the American taxpayers with, hospice houses and leering centers.
Yeah, hospice houses, leering centers. It's like it really is strange if you think about this. Like you were talking about our technology and being the greatest country in the world. I'm sorry, this may be a crude analogy, but I recently watched the movie John Carter. I don't know, that old Disney movie about John Carter going to Mars or whatever. And there are these aliens that give somebody a technology. And the guy gets the technology and immediately tries to use it against the aliens. And the aliens are like, you can't, no, you're not going to do that. And I know this is going to trigger a lot of people, but in that context, we're allowing the third world who didn't build this country to come here and turn our great society against us.
Yeah.
And that's what's been going on for the last 40, 50 years. And we're allowing it to happen. We don't have to allow it to happen. But we have allowed it, and we are allowing it. And then you start thinking, well, why is that? Why does the donor class? Why do our elites want this to happen? And it's because they're going to lose money. If America is a nation, they make less money than if America is just an economic zone. And if America is just an economic zone, then this is all about turning us into, neo-feudalism. We are serfs, actually. Gorsuch, it's kind of ironic. Gorsuch is saying, we rejected serfdom, but look around you. Look around the country.
Yeah.
Look. Yeah. It's especially if you're a younger person coming up and entering the workforce, or look around how all of our communities now look exactly the same. Starbucks, Burger King, Taco Bell. Yeah. And you take your city blocks, where we live, there's a lot of new developments. A lot of new construction going on, but have you noticed that a lot of it is just not, it's not beautiful. It's just more corporate chain establishments.
Well, it can't be beautiful because it's thrown up in a matter of days.
It is.
As quickly as humanly possible with bland, drab colors just to get it up and functioning so that then they can start churning that wheel of profit and pumping out burgers or chicken sandwiches or whatever else.
Yeah, and then
there's some reds and yellow colors mixed in there, but
have you noticed that the fast food industry or the coffee shop industry tends to attract the LGBT? It seems like everybody. I don't eat fast food very often. It's very, very rare. It seems like every time I go, or if I go get a coffee, with excluding one business in particular that's a Christian company, you end up getting somebody purple hair and is clearly on that LGBTQ spectrum. I've just noticed that's a lot.
So let me help you spit out the pill though real quick for a second.
The black pill.
Because
hang on, let me do this. We're at the threshold of hell, Helen. Look around you, Helen.
That's great.
I'm sorry. Okay.
You and Rob know me and have ribbed me before about the perpetual optimist that I am, right? And when I woke up this morning, I didn't care about so many of the things that people in, Eastern Europe probably had to think about. I took my kids to a public school where the teachers love them and take care of them. I went to work and I got to interact with a ton of, doctors and nurses and healthcare providers that are trying to do a great job and take care of people, keep them alive longer, keep them healthy, try to get them healthy. I went to a coffee shop and grabbed a nice coffee, and the lady said, "God bless you," when I left. There's a lot of things that we take for granted because, again, in this great experiment that we're in, we're to the point to where if everything is what it is by comparison to something else, we've got it pretty good. And I've been in those countries, and I've seen those places in Panama and El Salvador and Nicaragua and others where it's like, holy crap.
Yeah,
I know now why you want to come live where I live.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So we do have to recognize that part of the problem is that we do have it so good that everybody else wants to come live here. And whether that's called the American dream or not, frankly don't think it is. But, like, they want that. Or they want the opportunity for that. And they'll do illegal things to get that. To get to that place.
Yes, they will.
And will sacrifice a lot, including themselves and whatever it takes to get there.
So I agree with you. Marco Rubio was asked a question. He filled in for Caroline Leavitt, who just posted a photo of her new baby girl. So she's on maternity leave. He was asked, what's your hope for America? Okay. So he kind of parrots Neil Gorsuch here a little bit. Okay. But to the point about, he does get into the part about our history and how we do have some bad things. Anyway, listen to this.
Deal with that.
Yeah, look, I mean, my hope for America is what it's always been. I think it's the hope I hope we all share. We want it to continue to be the place where anyone from anywhere can achieve anything, where you're not limited by the circumstances of your birth, by the color of your skin, by your ethnicity, but frankly, it's a place where you are able to overcome challenges and achieve your full potential. I think that should be the goal of every country in the world, frankly, but I think in the U.S., we're not perfect. Our history is not one of perfection, but it's still better than anybody else's history, and ours is a story of perpetual improvement. Each generation has left the next generation of Americans freer, more prosperous, safer, and that is our goal as well. But it is a unique and exceptional country, and as we come upon this 250-year anniversary, I think we have a lot to learn and be proud of in our history. It is one of perpetual and continuous improvement, where each generation has done its part to bring us closer to fulfilling the vision that the founders of this country had upon its founding.
So a couple of things. The stuff he said about the history, it's better than anybody else's history. Totally agree with. But when I watched this, obviously I watched this a few days ago before Neil Gorsuch made his comments. But when I first watched it, I was just like, I'm sorry, man. Like, I was like, this sales pitch of America. Anybody can come here. You can be anything you want. I'm like, no, I'm over it, man. No, thanks. Sorry. Next. I'm sorry.
No.
Like, and by the way, I've been very surprised with Rubio in a lot of different areas, but obviously not excluding the war in Iran. But I did appreciate his honesty after the war in Iran started. That then got walked back. But the point is, I think this is. It's kind of this is now the new, or one of the, this is a debate that's going to happen within the Republican coalition now. And this little 5-minute sales pitch about what America is, obviously we've done that. We've tried it your way, and the results are absolutely terrible. And, and it's because of stuff like this, and I'm not blaming all of this on Rubio, but this is the mentality of the generation ahead of us.
Yeah.
It is the mentality of the generation ahead of us, and you want to know why we had such contentious, like, we're trying to get Minneapolis, we're trying to arrest people and send them, and we can't get that done, or we can't get it done the way we would like. Well, it wouldn't even be a problem if we hadn't adopted this nonsense Credal nation, and you talk about history, it's just not historically accurate. That's not what our country was founded on.
And I frankly don't think that the two-party system that we have now, in as fractured and as extreme as it is, particularly the Democratic talk, like, I don't think that makes it us able to make the next generation better than the one before. We're too polarized now. We're too.
Oh, that's a good point.
We're too opposite.
Yeah.
There's no common ground now, and now it's just, we have to win. No, we have to win. No, we have to win. No, we have to win, and we will do everything and sacrifice whatever else as a means just to win.
Yeah, and that's why we're seeing.
So when you have a country divided as far as where it pledges its allegiance in the ballot box, in that dynamic, no, Mr. Rubio, I'm sorry. We will not make things better for our kids' generation with the system that we have in place. And I don't know what the answer to that is. And this is where I get to a point to where I try to teach my kids, like, don't come to me with just a problem. Come to Dad with a problem and a potential solution. Like, hey, Dad, this is an issue, and this happened. And I think if we did this might improve that. That's what I want to teach my kids to come to me with. So I'm not saying I have this magic formula to fix our two-party system and the broken, disgusting way in which they interact together now, but something has to change.
I mean, I think it's going to. I mean, I think it's, one way or the other, it is going to change.
Yeah.
It just may be more drastic than most people want. All right, so here's a few more takes on this. I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but this is a topic that I find fascinating. R.N. McIntyre, in response to Neil Gorsuch's comments, this is why originalism seems like a joke. He doesn't believe in the words of the founders. He doesn't even believe in the original meaning of the 14th Amendment. What is originalist about defending a progressive view from the 1960s? This is very good here because it's highlighting how ridiculous the take is that we were founded on a creed, we weren't founded on a religion or even a culture. A culture. How do you say that? How is any nation founded? It's impossible for a nation to be founded on something other than a culture. Think about how ridiculous that is, that cultures don't spring forth nations. When you look at the Christians and the pilgrims and the settlers that came here in the 17th century and they eked it out, I mean, that created the bedrock. This is what Donald Trump was saying. Okay, so then we have so now we're going to highlight just kind of, if we are a creedal nation, which I don't think we are, but maybe we are practically. If we are, what are the implications? Okay, this guy named Devin Erickson. America's a creedal nation. Okay, can we test people to see if they believe in the creed before not letting them in or before letting them in? No, that's racist. Okay, can we kick them out if they don't believe in the creed? No, that's denying them due process and their constitutional rights. Can I see a copy of this creed? Nope. No one can agree on exactly what it is. We think it has something to do with the Declaration of Independence, though. Okay, so what you're saying is that this creed defines the nation, but it isn't defined, that it forms the basis of law, but has no effect on the law, that we owe allegiance to it, but that allegiance cannot be tested or demanded. Yep. So the creed could be anything, couldn't it? It could be horses are pretty or eat at Joe's, and it wouldn't make the slightest difference. I suppose so. I never really thought about it. What's important is that judges decide who is an American and what America's future will be. Say, you aren't a judge. Yes, that's your point. What's your point? So, you get it here. This has been widely mocked online, and I'm really glad for it. I'm here for it. Jeffrey Kaufman. I'm an originalist, which means understanding the intent of the founders. So your views on America are close to the founders? No, they're whatever progressives invented between 1912 and 1965.
Right.
And this is really where, I mean, that's the creation of the Federal Reserve. That's the the Civil Rights Act that got us where we are. That just got thrown out. At least the gerrymandering part of it got thrown out. The Voting Rights Act. Pastor James Baird. Pointing out what we pointed out earlier. Our rights are given to us by God, he said, but our nation wasn't founded on religion. You can't have it both ways. These people, it's like they have, this is a Supreme Court justice, and I like Neil Gorsuch. I've liked some of his rulings and opinions. I've also not liked some. But it's like, how are you a Supreme Court justice and this is what you're saying? Maybe when he says it wasn't a particular religion, he's meaning a particular denomination. But I don't think that's what he's meaning at all here.
No.
So Jeremy Carl, there's a few posts from Jeremy Carl, and I wanted to get to this because he makes a very interesting point. He says the 1847 Constitution of Liberia was explicitly modeled on the U.S. Constitution of 1787, ratified in 1789. Both begin with we the people establishing a republican government to secure liberty, justice, peace, and welfare. They have a Declaration of Rights, very close to the U.S. Bill of Rights and the principles of the Declaration of Independence. They have separation of powers, a legislative branch, a judicial branch, executive branch, freedom of religion, assembly, petition, speech, press, jury trials, due process, no double jeopardy, grand jury, confrontation of witnesses, no self-incrimination, habeas corpus. They have all the stuff we have. Yet Liberia did not turn out like America. Ideal constitutions flow organically from the experiences or culture of particular peoples and can't simply be randomly engrafted almost whole onto different peoples. This is one of the many reasons democratizing the Middle East, exporting democracy, has failed so spectacularly because the people don't even understand the value of what we're trying to force on them because they haven't lived the experience. They actually, in some cases, I think, enjoy the strong external force that puts a boot on society in order to, manage outcomes. Successful nations, he says, must build constitutions rooted in their own experience, history, and values. Liberia isn't the only nation to closely mimic America's Constitution or Declaration, but none of those nations have turned out at all like America. In 1890, the approximate year in which America became the world's largest economy, between 85 and 95% of the American political community, i.e. those with voting rights, was still of Northern and Northwestern European origin. Virtually the entire government for the first 300 years of our history, since Jamestown, going back to Jamestown, had been comprised of Northern European Protestants. Yes, the creeds that they enshrined in the Declaration and Constitution were important and necessary, but they were not sufficient for America to become the world's greatest country. Think about that. What was written on paper, it was the people. It wasn't what was written on the paper. And by the way, that's not to take, that's also, you can't really say that as a Christian. I can't say it was the people without giving credit to God for making that possible through the Anglo-Saxon people and the English. We did this only with his blessing and providence and permission, quite frankly. He goes on, as I said in an early post, I am a raging moderate on this question. People from different origins could be and were successfully adopted into the American political community. Virtually all of my ancestors were in America before 1890, but none of them were Northern Europeans. But in the 20th century, and particularly the 21st century, the left has been dedicated to the reckless and intellectually unsupportable proposition that it simply does not matter the pace or scale at which we try to bring in immigrants, nor how fair their culture and values of their countries of origin are, how far they are from American culture and values. We can just magically speak of creeds, and this will somehow solve the very real and very thorny problems of assimilation and integration of foreigners into the American people. Justice Gorsuch speaks of creeds without ever being willing to really test or have accountability for whether those coming en masse from our new immigration countries are likely to embrace those creeds or even agree on what they are. He and the rest of America's elites have conducted a vast and uncontrolled experiment on the American people with a total disregard for the consequences. Expect the feeble intellectual abstractions of Gorsuch and his conservative colleagues on the court to carry the day for the birthright citizenship case. We should greet their historically unmoored reasoning with the full mockery and contempt it deserves, which is exactly what's going on online right now. With at least in my algorithm, that's exactly what's going on right now. Really well said by Jeremy Carl there, who wrote a fantastic book called The Unprotected Class.
Yeah.
Jack Posobiec, certainly he says he's going to uphold birthright citizenship for illegals with a comment like that. There's also, where's the John Jay quote? Let me find that. But here's another one. This kind of pokes another hole in it. Practically speaking, we can just look at Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar doesn't believe in the ideas of the Declaration of Independence. She actively hates them and works against them. But not only does she maintain her citizenship, she serves as a national elected representative. This version of national identity is entirely incoherent. Again, it is because, okay, if we are a creedal nation, these same people would never enforce it. They're not going to enforce it.
Right.
Here it is. So here is Chief Justice, back in the day, John Jay. Quote, Providence has been pleased to give this one connected country to one united people, a people descended from the same ancestors, speaking the same language, professing the same religion, attached to the same principles. This is what people in the 18th century actually believed. When was John Jay Supreme Court judge? Wasn't he the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court? Then we have another Jeremy Carl. I'm sorry.
1789 to 1795.
Okay, yeah.
First Chief Justice.
He's the first Chief Justice. So literally the first Chief Justice, the guy who was around during the ratification of the Constitution in 1789, the guy who was the first, is like, no, actually, we do have a culture. And by the way, we're going to give credit to God for allowing this whole experiment to kick off. They are retroactively. Remember the New York Times? What was the New York Times with the 1619 Project, where they're trying to edit American history and tell us the truth behind American history? Like, we have that because of our immigration policy and what we've allowed to happen to this country. More on Jeremy Carl. In all sincerity, he writes, the fact that this nonsense is being spouted by the best of Trump's 3 Supreme Court nominees is indicative of the broad intellectual failure of the conservative legal movement. How is this originalist with respect to an analysis of who the original American people were? How is it an originalist reading of the early congressional debates around the Naturalization Act of 1790, which I believe talks about, quote, white peoples? How is it textualist with respect to what the founders actually wrote about ourselves and our posterity? This is nothing more than rootless liberalism with the thinnest of conservative veneers. He says, I am a raging moderate on these issues. Again, he says, I do not think America is just an ethnicity or a natural origin. We can and have made good Americans who arrive from many different nations. But obviously, it's not just an ideology or creed either, or we'd be mass deporting these tens of millions of Americans who utterly reject the founders' creed. For politicians, I don't always expect better, but for Supreme Court justices who should be intellectual leaders of the movement, this sort of claptrap is just embarrassing. I couldn't agree more. It just goes on and on and on. I think we've gotten through them all, though. Last one, and then we're going to take a break, and we're going to reset here. Boris Rivkin. He says, there is no original intent reading of the actually very narrow, I'm sorry I'm having trouble talking today, narrow 14th Amendment to allow for a citizenship regime wherein someone who can illegally hop across the U.S. border to give birth and the child automatically becomes an American citizen with all the rights and privileges thereto. If birthright citizenship doesn't have jurisdictional and procedural guardrails, it becomes meaningless. The trouble is that ruling correctly and returning to the much narrower scope and reading of the 14th Amendment is not something this or any modern SCOTUS is apt to do. Maybe Thomas has that level of courage, but not a majority. It would open the door to upending so much additional jurisprudence based on a flawed approach to the 14th Amendment. So I think we already know. I think we already know what they're going to rule, and they're going to rule that Trump's executive order outlawing birthright citizenship is unconstitutional. They're probably going to keep it, folks. If they don't, it'll be huge. But
I think he and Barrett will vote against it.
Yeah, and it's because of this. It's because of this generational. They think America was founded in 1912, and that everything in the 20th century that has got us to this point on this slippery slope is the founding of the country. They think America started with the founding of the Federal Reserve. That's year one for America. And so it's really ironic when you consider we're celebrating 250 years this July, because you can make an argument that we're actually a totally different country than we were, and that we're actually celebrating, half of that. We're actually not celebrating 250 years.
Yeah.
Because you can make an argument that 20th century, we basically, America had a good 100-year run. Now, I'm not meaning to be, obviously.
There you go.
But America had a good 100-year run where we had people that were like, leave me alone. And then the politicians slowly changed it. So All right, we're going to take a break here. Let me know what you think in the comments. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. This is the Paul Harrell program, and we'll be back here in just a moment.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red 5.
Why is Red Vibe different? What sets it apart? What sets us apart from the standard red light panels? This is a medical grade device, and what that means is the red light bulbs and the near infrared bulbs have very specific wavelengths. If you think about the wavelength as the medicine, the 635, the 670, the 810, the 850, those were specifically chosen because those are the most powerful effectors of the cells. So those specific wavelengths, when they get into our body, when they affect our tissue, they spike energy production, they help with nerve pain control, they increase stem cell counts. There's very specific mechanisms that those specific wavelengths work at, and that's the medicine. So if you think of, say, medicine as an Advil or a specific steroid or a blood pressure medication, the wavelength is the medication. The other part of that, whenever you take a medication, is dose. Right? So you have the medication. So if you take 1 milligram of Advil and the average dose of an Advil is 200 milligrams to 800 milligrams, it's not going to work. That doesn't mean the medicine's bad. It just means you didn't take enough. Right? And so even if you have the right wavelengths, first you have to have the right medicine, and then you have to have the right dose. And to have the right dose, you have, in light therapy, you have to have enough energy. So you have to have a powerful bulb. The LED bulbs, or light emitting diodes, have a specific wavelength, and that wavelength is the medicine. And the wavelengths that have been studied and published on that are the most powerful in affecting healing and the changes that we want to see with our bodies and our health are the 635 wavelength, the 670, 810 nanometer wavelength, and 850 nanometer wavelength. Those are all going to affect the mitochondria, the cytochrome C oxidase, and affect those powerful long-term changes and affect that downstream pathways. And that's what you get with Red Vibe devices. The highest efficacy, the best wavelengths, concentrated to help your health.
My name is John, and this is my beautiful wife, Lori, and this is our Star Wars Ewok. His name is Scout, and we have Scout for about 11 years now, and we started noticing about 3 years ago he started slowing down. He was unable to jump on the bed. He was kind of a little bit grumpier, and when my daughters, Macy and Mariah, would take him on walks, he would walk for about 30 yards, and then he'd lay down, and they'd carry him the rest of the way. So I heard about Pet Club 24/7 and about the products from a gentleman that I really trust and share a friendship with. And he mentioned to me that they have products that are going to help him with his arthritis, help him build his immune system. And I said, okay, no problem. Let's try them out. And I kid you guys not, within about 2 to 3 days, we started noticing a little difference. And then we took Scout on a walk probably about a week after we started using the products, the mush puppies, and he would walk the entire way. He would walk at least a mile, and it's just been completely amazing. He's a new dog. He's 11 years old, which is around 80 years in dog years, and he's just happy. He's more energetic. He's not the grumpy old man he used to be, and we're just so thankful. And it was perfect timing because we lost our boxer Yankee about 1.5 years ago, and it was really hard on us. So I'm so thankful for Pet Club 24/7 for the products that they offer. Imagine if you could have your best friend around one more day or one more week or even one more year. I'm so blessed and thankful that we were able to find this company and find these products for Scout. So thank you guys. Give it a shot. We appreciate you. God bless everyone.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee coming through. Really, you just got to applaud all of these state representatives, all these Republican red states, these Christian red states, as I like to call them. All of these guys just taking advantage. You know, our politicians in Washington, D.C. may not know what's going on. They may not care to end the filibuster. They may not be afraid of this country. They may not be afraid for their own people and their own voters having to live under Democrat rule again. But the state legislators are. They are, and it shows in their fervor and in their scramble, really, the Southern scramble to eliminate these Democrat seats. Do you guys remember the 17th Amendment? Eric, you remember the 17th Amendment. Mm-hmm. We talked about this before the show. So the 17th Amendment was, essentially, and if you go back and look at the messaging at the time or the propaganda or whatever you want to call it, they just thought state legislatures had become so corrupt that they could no longer be trusted to send politicians to D.C. Now, this was a huge mistake because we still have the same amount of corruption. Arguably, we've got way more corruption with the U.S. Senate. And it also served to kind of neuter this whole, dare I say the word, confederation of states that we had that were states with a capital S. Before the 17th Amendment, we were states with a capital S, like the state of Germany, the state of Great Britain. And we would send representatives. We would have elections. We would send state reps and state senators to our legislative bodies, and they would vote on who to represent the state and the legislature in D.C. If the 17th Amendment didn't exist back when Obamacare was being passed, many of the last holdouts in southern states that still were Democrats, like Alabama or Arkansas, or well, I don't know if Alabama had any senators yet that were still blue. Arkansas had 2. Before Barack Obama, the state of Arkansas had 2 Democrat senators, Mark Pryor and Blanche Lincoln. Blanche Lincoln used to cut these ads. He was just like, I just love Arkansas. You just love seeing that sunrise come up over the Delta.
That's good.
That's what those were her ads.
That was good.
It's like, when I'm in D.C., I just think about that sunrise coming up over the Delta, and I just love my state so much. I just do. This was what we were subjected to. If they passed Obamacare during that time, and Mark Pryor and Blanche Lincoln voted for it in the Senate.
You sounded like Blanche from the Golden Girls too, which was extra good because
that is
double Blanche.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. And if you threw a party,
here we go.
Invited everyone you knew. All right, sorry. So if the 17th Amendment had not been...
Our audience counter just went up to 10 million. Keep singing, Paul.
We'll have a daily segment from now on. Anyway, and this actually may not have been the case, but because I think Arkansas at the time still had this would have been in 2010. When did they pass Obamacare? Was it in 2009, like in December of 2009, somewhere in there, they came back from Christmas and rammed it through. I think that's what they did right before 2010.
Thank you, Senator McCain.
But anyway, I think this might not have actually been applicable back then, but there may have been the political will to do it. I don't know, because I think the Arkansas State House was still controlled by the Democrats. I'm pretty sure it didn't flip till November of 2010. But there might have been some gains. Anyway, the point is, it would be conceivable to think that the people get so mad, their state legislatures here, you're about to pass socialized medicine, and so you know what? We're calling you home. Because that's what the state legislatures had the ability to pass, to get together, and they could have voted to call any of these guys home if they're about to vote on something that's going to be that dangerous. So it was an accountability. It was a check and a balance.
Come get your town hall.
Exactly.
Come back here for
Yeah.
for a little dose of what your folks want.
And there were town halls, by the way, with Blanche Lincoln and Mark Pryor, and I went to them, and the people were furious.
Oh my! Yes.
They were furious, and you knew that they went ahead and voted with their party, and they all got thrown out of office, and Republicans replaced them. The same thing happened with
because guess what? The receipts started showing up.
Yes.
People started calling in to places and posting pictures of their insurance premiums and all their denials and getting kicked off of the plans that they were on. And all of a sudden, they couldn't see their doctor anymore. Mm-hmm. Everything that Obama promised all became bull to regular American people, and they started showing the receipts, and it was just like,
if you like your plan, you will keep your plan.
Yeah, right.
You know, then you remember that there will be no, this will not, he said this with a straight face. It will not pay, we will not pay for illegal immigrants to have this health care. And then you had that, what was the guy's name who said, you lie?
Joe something?
Joe something. I think you're right.
Yeah.
How far? Do you remember how everybody was clutching their pearls when...
Oh, they were like...
How dare you yell something out during the President's State of the Union address or whatever that was. It was like... And now people yell stuff up out of the time all the time. I mean, it's just like, like... it's like... It's,
sorry. I just kept thinking about Al Green and...
the
money for what?
Black people aren't apes.
Oh, yeah.
What was it? Isn't that what it was?
The sign he had on it.
Rent apes. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
It was black people rent apes.
Yes.
Because he had the sign halfway covered up.
The sign was covered up by his jacket lapel or something like that.
Oh, yes. That was hilarious.
Instead of black people aren't apes.
But, you say well, this kind of goes to your point. We are more divided than ever. And so now people are...
Giuseppe.
Using the power as much as they can, because both sides think that the other side is intolerable, and they don't want to live around them, and they don't want to have to live under their ideas. And so what's going on right now is actually a good thing. But back to the 17th Amendment, what we're kind of seeing here, and I saw this from a guy named Andrew Isker on X, we're kind of seeing the reverse of the 17th Amendment, but not as applied to the Senate, applied to the House, where state legislatures are now saying, no, we're going to decide what our districts look like and what our representation is going to be. Yeah. The state legislatures are going to decide it because now you don't have the court-enforced racial districts. Yeah. So what we're seeing is a reverse of the 17th Amendment, but not applied to the Senate, applied to the lower house.
Yeah. We don't care what you folks think because we've already imported enough people and given them enough money to keep those voting blocks secured for a while. I'll be fine without your support, Mr. or Mrs. whoever, in my district, in my state. I don't need you anymore. I have millions, thousands, whatever. I have plenty. I'll be just fine.
Yeah, and there's the idea.
And I've got all the lobbyists and all the other NGOs giving me the money that I need to keep this thing running because I'm making sure they get plenty of your taxpayer dollars too.
Yeah, and this idea that...
what a cycle.
It's if we're playing any sort of game and you're playing to win, it's like, well, if there's a way within the rules where my opponent doesn't have a voice, sign me up for that. You're not taking away their right to vote. You still have a voice. If you want a bigger voice, then you've got to win elections. This is the way it works. Of course, we need to work on our elections in a big way. But anyway, this is the news out of Tennessee. Headline breaking: Tennessee Governor Bill Lee has officially signed the state's new congressional maps into law. Tennessee will soon have 9 Republicans, 0 Democrats in Congress. All the Democrats screeching today did not work. And screech they did, but there's a look at what the map is going to look like.
There it is.
They basically carved Memphis into 3 areas. You can see that there.
Nice little red wave.
Yeah.
It just came across from the east.
That's exactly right.
Just the red wave we wanted in Western Tennessee.
This is the red wave that we needed back, when Biden was in office, but it was a pink trickle.
Thank you, Governor.
So apparently there's this publication in Tennessee called Tennessee Holler
Oh, yeah.
And they're a liberal. From what I can tell, they're pretty liberal because they're very upset. Today, Tennessee Republicans will strip representation from majority black Memphis and dilute it with their white power, stretching their districts to cherry red Williamson County, the richest in the state, making Tennessee 9-0 Republicans, while insisting it isn't about race.
No, it is.
It is about race. I don't think anyone's insisting this isn't about race.
No, yeah. It's fixing the problem.
It's saying it was about race.
Yeah.
And so it's still about race, but it's trying to undo your districts that are about race.
Right.
You only exist because of the Voting Rights Act and court-enforced gerrymander districts that say,
yes,
how many people in this district have a certain melanin, how much melanin do they have in this geographic area?
Your gerrymandering was 100% about race.
Exactly. Like, okay, well, we're going to make sure that the melanin content of these people are mostly homogenous, and then we're going to draw a district around that. See, it's funnier when it's like a plantation voice.
Colonel Sanders.
It's funnier like this. The people of Memphis will get along just fine.
Can you sing Zippity Doo Dah or something?
Tim
Sound
Meadows,
like Chevy Chase on Fletch Lives.
Yeah, Tim Meadows did a great. There's a great Tim Meadows SNL sketch.
Oh yeah.
Where they're doing "Song of the South."
Oh yeah,
and
I know exactly what you're talking
guy's
about.
like swatting at cartoon birds, and he's like, "What are you swatting at?" It's really funny. So they canceled the Song of the South ride in Disney World. By the way, you remember that? That was a big deal. And I think they made it about the black Disney princess, Frog and the Prince, or whatever. But they screamed and they screeched inside. This is the Tennessee House passing the vote, passing the new districts. Listen and watch.
Saddle up, folks, or strap in.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's remind ourselves that while we're here in this special session...
Mr. Trooper, please clear out that balcony over there. Please clear out the balcony. Leader Lamberth. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the remainder of my time.
Leader Lamberth yields the rest of his time. We're voting. We are voting on the bill. All those in favor of House Bill 7003 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote?
Ref, you suck.
Yeah.
Ref, you. That's what it sounds like. They're just.
Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Here it comes.
Yeah.
Aye, 64, 25 nays, 3 present, not voting.
House Bill 7003, having received the Constitutional majority, I hereby declare it passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is tabled.
This is what obnoxious idiots do when they don't get their way.
You're exactly right. And then they rushed the bill to the governor's desk, and he signed it with fervor and vigor. And that then thus eliminated the District of Memphis. I'm sorry. Here's another angle. Sorry about that, folks. Oh, that came from the floor, not the gallery.
I mean, it wasn't even close.
I mean, I'm going to say
it's not like the vote passed
I know,
on slim margins.
I'm going to go on a limb here. I think this is worse than January 6th.
You think this is an insurrection?
I mean, it's a lot closer. Was there anybody interrupting this is actually interrupting an official proceeding, which is the bogus Enron law that they use to charge J6ers. Like it's kudos to them for just getting it done. Look, you see all the Democrats down there?
Yeah.
From Memphis.
Standing down there all lined up like as if that is going to do anything.
Memphis and Nashville.
These are spoiled brats. Like, these are the kids that...
Oh, they're yelling pedophile protector. They're bringing up Epstein because Republicans are governing themselves with political power that they were voted.
Oh, they're showing that to the Republicans.
Yeah, blue hair woman, she gets it. Look at the two white Democrats that are like, we're not with the Republican whites.
Way to go, Memphis. Way to show everyone exactly why this is the way it should have gone.
I was about to say, yeah. I was like, and after that, they reconsidered and they canceled the vote. No, they didn't. What you did was meaningless.
Yeah. 100% meaningless.
To your point, though, of Memphis, it's kind of proving their point. Here is Representative Justin Pearson, who was kicked out of the Tennessee House by the Democrats. I'm sorry, by the Republicans, and then they brought him back.
Oh, this is the guy we had to watch yesterday that was throwing a fit.
Yeah, this is.
I'm sure he.
This is him after the vote, as the Tennessee State Police is trying to get order back. He was not a fan.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You stupid mother.
Well, Malcolm X is looking down and real proud right now.
He does have a Malcolm X vibe, Eric.
Give me a break. What a joke. What a pathetic joke.
Samuel Jackson, haven't you seen my movies? This is, he calls it, I think we have another angle of this too.
Good grief. Yeah.
Y'all going? Let go of it, sir. You got me all tied up. Now you got me all tied up. My brother ain't doing nothing to nobody. He ain't doing nothing to nobody. He'll walk out like yourself. Move the back. Boy! Let Rep Pearson go. Let Rep Pearson. What's wrong with you?
So
somebody get out a taser.
Somebody just he really laying hands on an officer like that. I won't be surprised if there's not charges in the future. But that right there, who wants the city of Memphis? Who thinks now the city of Memphis after this behavior is entitled? I mean, who wants that? Going to Washington D.C. and I mean it's ridiculous. And again, we've talked about this before. Memphis is a city that is on the brink. They've got gang members in there. They hire gang members, for police officers. That was a huge scandal with the death of Tyree Nichols. And you're like, this is a city that is has had half a century or more of Democrat rule, and the city's the worse off for it. And their ideas, I mean, D.C. doesn't need their ideas, quite frankly, because it's just going to make things even worse. And so, again, if you don't like it, then you need to find a way to win elections in the state of Tennessee. It's very if you want political power, that's what you have to do. You've lost. Tennessee is a red state, and now that they have the ability to cancel your racial gerrymandering, they've done it, and you're acting like this. Again, what you're saying, proving the point that the adults need to take charge, because, Memphis is not being run by adults. It's just not. Boy!
Man, I'm so glad you found these clips.
Boy!
Put these clips on there.
Back up. Hang on, what is this?
That stuff needs to haunt him.
Yeah,
because
it won't.
People like him have nothing better to do than to continue to just spark outrage. This is outrage culture. This is what we talk about all the time with liberal progressives and the extreme libs on the left. It's outrage culture. That's what they care about. That gets them clicks. That gets them support from Soros and all the other NGOs that'll eventually pay their rent and keep them funded and keep him barking and screaming and yelling and pushing cops.
One more time. What's he wearing? He's wearing some sort of
it's a robe.
African shawl.
Yeah, it's one of those robes.
It's like that Key and Peele sketch, Clothars or whatever.
Yeah.
Instead of Hogwarts, it was an inner city school for witches and wizards. You ever seen that one?
No. No.
And they got all kinds of problems, man. They got all kinds of problems. They got
this
metal.
kid ain't from Hufflepuff. I'll tell you that.
They got metal detectors, for the wizards to go in, and it's
the hat comes up for this guy. And it's like Slytherin.
Yeah, for real.
Whatever.
He's wearing some sort of
big afro version of Afro Slytherin.
Some sort of cultural.
Oh my god.
Yeah, let Pearson go. Let Pearson. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Pig.
Stupid mother.
Well, there's that. And they got a little worse, actually. So some lady, I don't know who is this. Some state senator stood up on the table. Are you guys seeing this? Can we?
Bless her heart. Look at her.
Yeah,
this is what she thinks in her mind. I know what I can do.
Yeah, this will convince them to give me my representation.
I'm just going to stand up on top of my desk.
Looks like they're having their meetings like,
oh, this is that Pink Pony reference.
We got to do something. They're like, we can't let them do this. We got to do something. Well, it's got to be dramatic. Well, what if I stand up on a table? Yes, Trinessica, stand up on the table. That'll show them. That'll show them that we mean business and that this is serious. Stand up on the table. No. And then the sergeant at arms had to try to remove her. Give me my sweater back. I don't know what else happened after that, but there was this odd tug of war going on. But yeah, back to this. Ton Starnes. This is not the Pink Pony Club.
Did you call her Trinessica?
I did. Why? Did somebody pick up on it?
No, I just.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking back to. Is that her name?
I have no idea what her name is. I'm sorry. I was just in the abstract. We were talking. No, but we were talking in the abstract.
That's a good one.
We were talking in the abstract.
I've not heard.
They had to have strategies. Well, we're going to have to do something to make sure these people know this is white supremacy. Well, I don't know. Trinessica, what if you stood up on the table and gave an impassioned speech? That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
That's a great name.
Trinessica. You never heard that one? You never heard from me? I mean, there's got to be a...
I thought you were like reminiscing back to like an SNL sketch or something like that.
No, it just came to me.
Like Bonqueequee or something.
It just came to me. But he says, this is not the Pink Pony Dance Club. Ma'am, this is a Wendy's. Sir, this is a Wendy's. This is the floor of the Tennessee Senate chamber. Did someone distribute dollar bills to the senators? Yikes. Yikes. But yeah, Todd Starnes from the ropes. Good job. Now, this is Tennessee Republican Representative Todd Warner. He comes in, walking into the chamber to vote, and he decides to trigger the crowd. Wearing the Trump 2024 flag.
That's it. No more BS.
No more BS.
That's great.
Look at him. Watch this. Now, the reason he got the flag taken away is, I don't know how it is in Tennessee, but in Arkansas, there's going to be...
You can't do that.
Like in Arkansas, you got to have a coat on to go on the floor, and you couldn't bring, like, political I don't think so, but certainly not. There's a dress code.
So I'm just gonna say this as a matter of a dad and trying to be objective here. Like, there's no need for Nana and a Boo Boo right here.
No.
Like, let the vote speak for itself, and then leave, and then let them act out like idiots.
No. I'm right there with you. We're just covering that it happened. I'm not commenting on the wisdom of it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you're not.
I mean, it's funny. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a good content. He definitely triggers them.
Yeah.
When he raises it up there, they get even
the
more angry.
The best thing that we can do is just vote and let our voice be heard like that, and do your thing appropriately, and then let them be the ones to act out like idiots.
I mean,
and boy, did they take the bait on that.
They sure
Man.
did. And that may be why the culture jamming.
Trinessica, she just offered us up some great on a silver platter.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Well, I mean, she's probably like, how'd I do? Did I do okay? Oh, yeah, perfect. You did exactly. I mean, we almost stopped them from redistricting Memphis.
Her and Mr. Pearson Puff or whatever.
Yeah.
With his
Justin Pearson.
With his 9 3/4 robe. Platform 9 3/4.
Representative.
Wait, is it 19?
I don't know. He definitely does. I don't know he definitely was wearing some sort of Hogwarts robe. I agree with you. So Democrat State Representative Afton Bain.
Oh, this girl, the crazy lady.
She's pretty far out there. She says,
who did she lose to? She lost in the Nashville. She was the Nashville Senate. This was the really okay. So this lady's the one that basically told everyone that she hates Nashville, and then ran for the Senate race against someone in Nashville.
Yeah. Okay.
This was the one that got Trump involved in speaking out against her, and the person that she ran against. Like, this girl is crazy.
Okay. Yeah. And I've seen her stand up in the Tennessee floor, trying to stop common sense legislation.
Yeah, she ran into Governor Lee's office.
Yeah, because she's a state
and
rep.
had to be taken out by the police.
So she says, just looked at the new Tennessee map, or she says, incredible. Truly incredible. Memphis, a city of 600,000 people, got sliced into three and connected to Williamson County in a district that looks like a grocery receipt. I think Memphis has actually been connected to Williamson County before, though. People have gone back and found old maps, and so this is nothing new necessarily. Yeah. But it is what you get. You mess with the bull, you get the horns. And the Democrat Party, again, it's the difference between normal and crazy. That's what Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders has said multiple times. I don't know. I mean, that's exactly correct on so many levels. On a base level, like, we can get into the minutia, like we talked about earlier, Credal nation or not. But on the base level, people are voting because they don't want to live under Democrats' ideas, and they don't want to live under their crazy. And the duly elected representatives of the state of Tennessee are enacting the people's wishes with this redistricting.
Yeah. To Bad Moon's point, this is what happens when you make a nation equal as far as its representation, and you stop the gerrymandering.
Yeah.
Like, this is what happens when you fix that.
Can you imagine
fix that?
If we hadn't had to live like this the last 50 years, what this country would be like? If we hadn't had what we've had in the South in particular, if the South had been uniform like it was, like New England was, and I mean, it's crazy. And I know that the South, there were still Southern Dixiecrats or whatever, but let's just take the last 20 years. Let's just take the last 20 years.
You don't even have to go back very
country
far.
would have been so much different
if
they didn't have these 12 seats that they have from the South.
Yeah.
So another news on Tennessee, it's kind of similar, but on Todd Starnes' show, Tennessee State Senator Brent Taylor announced on the Todd Starnes show that he is running for the newly created 9th Congressional District. Bye-bye, Steve Cohen. So Steve Cohen is out. Honestly, you can make an argument that Memphis will get better because if they have a Republican representing them, who knows? They might actually get better. When it comes to if there really is,
Well, the real problem with Memphis though is local officials, and it is awkwardly bad between mayor, city council, folks involved in the city politics,
gang members on the police force. That'll make things kind of awkward.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Still can't believe that was a real story.
Yeah,
that was a real story though. So back on the Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito called out Ketanji Brown Jackson for possibly delaying the opinion against racial gerrymandering, which is why we're having I mean, it's crazy how quick this has moved. In 2 weeks' time, we have seen history made. And normally the wheels of government grind very slowly, but that is not the case here. This is quick. See, I almost wish Arkansas had a Democrat district just so we could get rid of it. But we don't. Wah, wah. The liberals likely delayed it to make it hard for red states to redraw before 2026. There's a Fox News report attached to this.
Justice Alito is making a point. He's responding to Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's dissent, where she's complaining that the Supreme Court is allowing Louisiana to go forward with redrawing its map, which is completely consistent with the decision that came down last week, where they found that the redistricting had been unconstitutional, right? And so normally there's this 32-day period that happens after a Supreme Court authors a decision before it's sent back to the lower court to basically deal with the ramifications of what they decided. And because the congressional elections are obviously coming up, the governor had already delayed them. The Supreme Court here said, look, we decided we're not reconsidering this. You can go ahead and we're going to bypass the 32 days. Well, Ketanji Brown Jackson is very upset about that. And so Justice Alito points out in that footnote, hey, as a reminder to you, and by the way, the world, we decided this 7 months ago. So the question is, why did he put it in there?
Good question.
And we don't know, but there are two possibilities, right? One could be that the liberal wing of the court, who did not agree with the majority in this decision, were slow walking their dissents. Unfortunately, perhaps in an attempt...
Slow walking their dissents and telling Virginia CIA-backed Governor Abigail Spanberger that, hey, just so you know, this is coming. You might want to redraw your districts, too.
To impact the upcoming elections. Look, but there also could be the conservative justices may have had some differing opinions on how exactly they wanted to go about this, and so they could have been discussing
You know what
that.
I think?
Yeah, she definitely delayed that.
I mean, they used words. This was interesting that I remember seeing that Alito and Justice Thomas used words like trivial and baseless as it relates to some of her actions in this whole thing. So I've never seen a Supreme Court as divided, but them be able to, them making comments like that about each other. And calling her out for this stuff, because I think this is only going to get worse. Like, she's just going to get more and more
crazy.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I saw somebody claim, I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw somebody claim that Ketanji Brown, is it Jackson Brown or Brown Jackson? Anyway, Ketanji Jackson Brown.
Jackson. Go back.
Brown Jackson.
Yeah.
So Ketanji Jackson is so bad.
Yeah. How bad is she?
Some people are saying she's so bad in her argumentation, she's making the liberal justices more conservative.
I think that's a great point. And I've literally thought about this. Like, I mean, what's her name?
Sonia Sotomayor or Elena Kagan.
Kagan. Yeah. I think Kagan specifically has got to be like,
yeah, it's like, I'm not with her.
Sister. Like, you're making us all look like idiots. Like, knock it off. Because she's just going to continue to be outvoted and then get more and more extreme with some of her antics. That's the, which will expose.
It's a pretty hilarious concept, though.
Yeah,
that you're not just so far left. She is, but you're so inarticulate and you're just not meeting the intellectual standards of most Supreme Court justices, that you're causing your other justices who should be ideologically aligned with you to side with the moderate position, or maybe
to use words like what you're doing is insulting,
yes,
and trivial, and baseless. Like, Whoa.
Yeah. It's pretty funny, actually, if that is the case. But I think somebody was saying that Kagan, they mentioned Kagan specifically had gone on, had abandoned her in a couple of opinions and sided with the other side of the court. And they were saying, I think it's because, Jackson is just so far out there.
Yeah.
You don't want your name anywhere associated with her because she's that wild and crazy and inarticulate, or dare I say stupid. Can I say stupid?
She's obviously a very extremely intelligent woman, but as you and Rob have said that before, you've given her even more credit than I have as it relates to that. But man, some of this stuff, some of these antics, it takes away from her intelligence and her level of what should be credibility.
Yeah,
because she's doing it in a completely unobjective way, and she's not basing her decision on the Constitution. No, she's basing her decision on her liberal talking points.
I mean, that's a great point.
Liberal nonsense, which is the exact opposite of what you want in any.
Well, yeah, there was a
Supreme Court justice.
There was foreshadowing to this, honestly, when she's asked by Marsha Blackburn, "What is a woman?" and she refuses to say. The reason she I don't think any other Supreme Court justice would have said, "I'm not a biologist." Kagan wouldn't have said, "I'm not a biologist." Sonia Sotomayor, I don't think would have said, "I'm not a biologist." I think they would have attempted. Instead, she says, "I'm not a biologist," and so, it was foreshadowing that she was beholden. The reason, and now, granted, the political climate was much different for a liberal than Kagan and Sotomayor when they were going through their confirmation hearings. But the reason why Ketanji Jackson Brown or Brown Jackson did not answer what a woman is because she was beholden to the religious dogma of the left.
Yes.
And had she entertained the obvious truth that biological distinctions are real and women are women because of their biology, had she actually said that fact, she knew, even though she would have still gotten confirmed, she was more, the ideology is that men can be women and women can be men if they choose, that it's a construct, blah, 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 say whatever you want. It was woke sex religion dogma. And so now she's on the court, and that's how she's arguing. That's how she's writing her opinions, based on how she wants the world to be, not how the world actually is. And even people like Elena Kagan are like,
yeah,
I don't want to be seen with you. Like, don't wave at me at the party. We are not friends.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm reading too much into that, but that's what
I want to. It was just summer of 2022 when she was sworn in.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, so look how far she's come since then.
Yeah. And 2 years later, the American people reject this idea of, the trans crazy stuff. I do want to put this up on the screen because we had mentioned it earlier about the 17th Amendment. I got that line of thinking from a guy by the name of Andrew Isker over on X, and he said the current redistricting is just reverse engineering America prior to the 17th Amendment, except instead for the lower house. State legislators are choosing which parties represent them instead of direct democracy. This is a victory for federalism against the utopian progressive cult of democracy. Very well said. Our system is a republic, which means we use democratic elections, but we have strict parameters, like each state gets equal representation in the Senate. The House districts get a portion based on population. We then add the sum of the two senators plus your apportioned representatives to get your electoral college votes, and that's what gives us. That's who elects the president of the United States. So it's not direct democracy for a reason, and yet we have people that want. I mean, the Electoral College. I was listening to Dr. Andrew Paquette the other day talk about how, with all the electronic voting machine fraud that he's exposing, the one thing that has saved or has preserved us to where we are now, even though we've lost a lot, is the Electoral College. That the Electoral College is still a giant hurdle. For the cheating that goes on. So, but there's still plenty of cheating. So let's not. Not really sure what's going on next door.
A kid crying.
Oh, there's a kid crying next door. So, Bless his heart. We really mean that, though. We don't mean that in the southern.
No.
Bless his heart.
No.
We really do mean it. There's apparently a upset child in the office next to us. So, this headline: Biden appointed federal judge tosses lawsuit that would have forced Hunter Biden to register as foreign agent over Burisma and China deals. Cassandra McDonald writing this at the Gateway Pundit. That a Biden-appointed federal judge has dismissed a lawsuit that sought to compel Hunter Biden to register as a foreign agent under FARA for his work with Ukrainian energy giant Burisma and a Chinese Communist Party-linked energy fund. I think, was that CEFC? CEFC. I think that was the Chinese. Tony Bobolinsky goes on Tucker Carlson. Remember this name?
I remember Tony Bobolinsky.
Tony Bobolinsky goes on Tucker Carlson in November of 2020 or October of 2020 and exposes Hunter Biden for everybody to see. And Hunter Biden was making all this money, yes, from Burisma, but specifically there was this Chinese company that he was the attorney for called CEFC. And it was he was doing immigration and visa work. Is what he said. That's what Bobolinsky said. Bobolinsky said, I was like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm doing their immigration work. Getting, I guess, Chinese communists into the country and, getting their visa and their paperwork in order. Mm-hmm. What's interesting about this is that Arkansas, if you know where to look and you know where the bodies are buried, under former Governor Asa Hutchinson, his law firm, headed up by his son, Asa Hutchinson III, was also doing deals with the Communist Chinese, the same Communist Chinese companies that were given economic development deals to locate in the state of Arkansas, were the same companies listed on the governor's website and the governor's son, the Asa Hutchinson law firm website. And it made news, partly because of me, and it actually made the local Little Rock ABC affiliate, where it said, this is weird, because they found out, partly thanks to me, that Asa Hutchinson III was going on trips to China with his dad in the name of economic development, but they were all at this party together, and then there was the Chinese officials and
in Arkansas,
in Beijing. They were in China. They were in the Shandong province. For whatever reason, we had a lot of companies locating here from the Shandong province. And I helped expose a lot of this. And when the mainstream media in Arkansas finally had their arms twisted enough to ask about it, hey, why is your son making money from the same Chinese companies that the Arkansas taxpayer is giving money to come create jobs here? Why is that happening? Governor Hutchinson's response was, he's helping them with their visas. So,
sure he was.
And this was uncovered back in 2018. And so fast forward to 2020, when Tony Bobolinsky said that Hunter Biden said he was helping the Chinese with visas, I came up off the couch and I was like, this is the business model. This is it. What do? You enrich the kids of the politicians. You enrich the kids of the politicians. And if you ever wanted a way to restore trust with the American people, the Department of Justice would go after people regardless of what party. I have just literally, you have Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. You have admittedly, probably a much smaller scale, much smaller scale scheme that went on right here in Arkansas. But my goodness, could you imagine if both Republicans and prominent Republicans and Democrats got wrapped up in something like this? People would be like, thank goodness. Thank goodness that both Republicans and Democrats that are doing this thing, that are breaking the law, or at least, enriching themselves with their office, thank goodness that both sides are going to jail. Both sides are being punished from it. But that didn't happen. It still hasn't happened. And anyway, I'm on Team team stop corruption, and the American people are sick of it. So back to this story. Sorry for that long-winded explanation.
So when did Hunter Biden have the ties to Arkansas again? What year?
Not Hunter. You're talking about Asa.
Yes.
Oh, you're talking about Hunter Biden. Yeah, Hunter Biden got an Arkansan pregnant. That's right.
2018.
2018. Yeah, that's true. Okay,
we're gonna need one of those maps with the tax and the yarn.
Yep. Yeah, Hunter Biden was in Independence County.
That's right. That's right. You can connect a lot of this stuff and his physical presence.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, that's a great point because so when all this was going on back in, can you look up the article? Let me look it up right now, because now that we're talking about it, this is actually, this was Asa Hutchinson's son, Chinese companies.
Now you guys see what Paul's search history looks like, folks.
Yeah, here it is. This is the ABC affiliate story that finally broke after we covered this story back in the day when I was on radio. So, headline: Governor's son discuss legal work done for Chinese firms in Arkansas. I actually wrote another piece about this for National File several years later. A November trade mission trip raised questions about businesses conducted by Asa Hutchinson's son, Asa Hutchinson III. Now, keep in mind, they had to scrub the website because the website for this law firm actually, the first face you saw when it was originally was the governor himself. While he was still in office, it was the governor, Asa Hutchinson, and then his son. And then they scrubbed it. After it went viral, they scrubbed his face from it. Said he's just, it's his son doing it, and he, So, and by the way, then you started looking at the Asa Hutchinson law firm, and they had an office in Madrid, Spain. You started looking. Anyway, I did all the legwork on this. You can go look it up. National File has a story about it, but this was the mainstream media report about it. It says a report in early November from the Arkansas Times led to other news reports regarding whether the governor's son was benefiting from his father's elected position in the context of national and international stories focused on Democratic presidential hopeful Joe Biden and his son, Hunter, in Ukraine, as well as President Donald Trump and his children. Hutchinson III, managing partner with Asa Hutchinson Law Group, based in northwest Arkansas, with offices in D.C. and Madrid, Spain, touts the practice as international business and immigration legal work. The law firm's website highlights the governor as the founder of the firm. Okay. But so you look through this, and in separate interviews, Governor Hutchinson and his son said there was no assistance or recommendations provided in landing the legal business that Hutchinson III provided for newly recruited firms. Yeah, right. Hutchinson III said his work for TY Garments began in October 2017, and his Rise Ever work began in August 2018, and consists of obtaining employment-based non-immigration visas for some of their employees.
2018.
Yeah, 2018. So
this is how this ties so cool. Just this past week, a judge in Arkansas ruled that Hunter has to pay over $5,000 in child support to this girl in Arkansas.
What is her name? I can't remember her
name.
Roberts. London, yeah. Former Arkansas State lady basketball player.
Yeah. Great person. So she and Hunter had a kid in 2018.
Over in D.C. somewhere, right? They met over in D.C. She was in that area.
In the industry. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and just this past week, I just thought it was funny. We're tying all this stuff together as far as timeline, and I'm like, wow, 2018 was when the child was born.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
You're talking about all these associations, how amazing that Arkansas is tied in to the governor and on one part of the map, or I guess the tree. You've got the governor and a stripper.
Look, man, Arkansas created arguably the most powerful political family in the world.
Yeah.
So we're in this business, man. This is what we do. If Dennis Miller were here, he'd be like, "Yeah, this is what Arkansas does."
We got the Clintons and the Bidens.
We pump out winners, baby. Yeah. Winners all day long.
Well, there's
winners.
Plenty of pumping, but this is what we have.
Man, we're dropping drugs from planes. We're dropping. We don't drop dollar bills.
We got Contras here.
Yeah, man.
You're playing Contra on your Nintendo. We got Contras right here in Mina.
Yeah, baby.
Up, down, left, right, BA start.
So,
the 30-man code on Contra, baby.
So when I was running this story, when I was back working on this story, I was sending it to literally everybody that would listen, anybody in DC that would listen, and I'm gonna keep the people that I shared this story with, to myself. But one of the responses I got back was, have Hunter Biden and Asa Hutchinson III ever hung out? Have they ever met? It wasn't what would it be? It was a rhetorical question, I guess. It wasn't this guy not knowing. He was
probability is up here.
Yeah, it's like really, really high. Like real high, if you know what I mean. So I don't know, man. Like
high on the pole.
It is a twisted scheme, and it just kind of goes to show you we're talking about Democrats and Republicans. We're talking about the uniparty. It is what it is. Now it is not, in other news, it is not a good day to be a lesbian judge in Bexar County, Texas. If you're a lesbian and you're a judge and you live in Bexar County, Texas, you're not having a very good day. Not a very good day at all. The first openly gay LGBT judge in Texas, officially known as, not affectionately known, not AKA, this lady is known as Speedlin Gonzalez, Rosie Speedlin Gonzalez. Oh, I'm going to get a favorable ruling. Sorry, I don't know this is a term. I'm going before Judge Rosie Speedlin Gonzalez.
Oh, Speedy Gonzalez.
I'm going before her today and going to get a favorable ruling. The first openly... What if she was like a really slow judge? Like in every context. What if her courtroom just moved at a molasses pace? All right, so the first openly LGBTQRSTLNE, would you like to buy a Val judge in Texas, has agreed to a lifetime ban from the bench after having a defense attorney handcuffed in her own courtroom. This was that story. Back on April the 28th, Bexar County judge indicted for official oppression resigns, accepts lifetime prohibition from judicial office. The judge was suspended in February of this year without pay due to charges and complaints. Bexar County Court and Law Judge Rosie Speedlin Gonzalez has agreed to resign from office after she was indicted for unlawful restraint and official oppression in January. In December of 2024, Speedlin Gonzalez exhibited unprofessional demeanor toward attorney Elizabeth Russell, threatening her with contempt of court and ordering the bailiff to handcuff Russell and place her in the jury box. A heated argument between the two sparked the event. The hearing where the unlawful conduct took place reportedly began when Speedlin Gonzalez accused Russell of coaching her client, Brian Keith Collins Jr., in his response to the judge's questioning. Collins was on probation for domestic violence charges. Russell conferred with Collins after Speedlin Gonzalez, it's getting worse every time, asked if allegations that he failed to fulfill his terms of release were true. According to transcripts, Collins initially answered yes, and after conferring with Russell, answered no. The discussion between the judge and attorney turned incredibly volatile, and the judge eventually ordered Russell to be taken into custody and put in the jury box.
Oh my.
The incident complaint was not filed until July 7th, 2025. After a 25-minute stint in the Bexar County Jail on January 29th, Speedlin Gonzalez was released through a personal reconnaissance bond. And now she has agreed that she will never hold the bench again. She's resigned. This was kind of the plea deal that she took. She did face up to 20 years on felony unlawful restraint charges. Those were dropped Monday, the same day she signed the resignation agreement. She can still officiate weddings as long as she doesn't wear a robe or mention that she was ever a judge. So this is her. This is her. If you are a straight white Christian man and you were before this court for any reason, once you got to look at this lady, you were like, okay, well, I've lost. I'm totally going to jail or paying a fine or whatever.
She'll now be replaced on the court by her cousin, Senor Slowpoke Rodriguez. Remember that episode? This is my cousin, Slowpoke Rodriguez.
Man, that's great. I forgot. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. But just joking, really and truly, this was actually Johnny Knoxville the whole time. A lot of people don't know. I'm surprised you don't know this, but actually, we haven't heard from Johnny Knoxville in a while. I know he's had some traumatic injuries.
The new Jackass movie's coming out.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Okay,
they've already filmed.
Well,
it.
I know he had like some traumatic injuries. I think he was actually pretending to be. That's what we're going to find out in the movie. He was actually spieling Gonzalez.
Don't talk bad about Jackass at all. That was
your childhood. Your
this is my formative years.
Yeah, formative years. Yeah. Jackass. Yeah. Well, anyway. Man, what a day. What an absolute day. In the meantime, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is claiming that black people invented democracy.
There are very few like real archetypes of, in my opinion, truly what America is all about. I think about the civil rights and voting rights movement and how Black Americans really created democracy in this country.
That's right. That's right.
You have that affirmative idiot right across from her.
That's right. That's right. This brings us full circle.
Like anybody with an ounce of objectivity would be like, no, it's not how democracy was created. That was a great.
This is what democracy looks like.
That happened, but no.
Yeah, so this brings us
pandering idiots.
To me, this brings us full circle back to essentially like America's a creedal nation where black people invented democracy. Clearly, objectively.
Here you go, Democrats. This is going to be your candidate for president.
Oh, exactly.
Just so y'all know,
obviously, black people didn't invent democracy. We know where it was invented. It was invented in Greece. Right. It was literally Western civilization. Come on, but. She's going to continue saying this kind of stuff. Eric Haynes, man, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it today.
God bless you, man. Great conversation.
It was a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll see you next week. I know I run the show solo on Fridays. Hopefully Rob will be back in the saddle next week as well. But I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. God bless. I want to give a shout-out to our sponsors, Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, Pet Club 247, Sherrod Chiropractic. We'll see you tomorrow.